Welcome to Shooting It Straight with Stan. I'm your host, Stan, the Annuity Man, and I'm so glad you joined me today because this is one of those times I get to kind of rant. You've seen me do that in the past where you're like, Stan, you're drinking way too much coffee. I don't know what the heck's going on with you. You're intense and you're too old to be intense because people that get intense like that, you might have a stroke, a heart attack, or things like that. Hey, don't worry about me. I'm worried about you. And today's topic is don't buy annuity stories. That's a big one to unpack, but let's start unpacking it. In the world of sales, and I've been in the financial services industry, sales industry, since I got out of college, because that's the only people that offer me a job. And I was a finance major, and I'm thinking, yeah, I want to go into finance, and I had a math background, etc. Everybody that ever talked to me, like a manager or salesperson, they're like, stories sell. You need to tell stories to the people because they can relate to it. Now, on my videos and podcasts and on these Shooting Straight with Stan videos, I'll tell you stories about, when clients call me, like real life stories. This is what actually happened when they call. And it might apply to you, it might not. But the stories I'm talking about, when I say don't buy annuity stories, applies to a lot of things that are happening that's wrong in the annuity industry and why the annuity industry has earned its bad reputation. Because people are like, annuities, that's a curse word. It's a curse word because the majority of people that's selling them, they're selling stories that most of the time aren't true. And they're pushing the envelope to get the sale. And that's unfortunate. That's the reason that I say all the time, buy an annuity for what it will do, not what it might do. What's the will do? The will do is the contractual guarantee of the policy. And the reason I say that is with annuities of any type, they're contracts. Don't believe it? Buy one, you're going to get something in the mail called a policy. In the South, we'll call that a contract. I mean, it is what it is. And guess what's going to happen with your money when you get an annuity of any type? What's in the contract? So make your decision on what's in the contract, not the story that's being told. And the stories are horrific out there. That's the reason I always say to people that if you have to buy an annuity, not from Stan the Annuity Man, which I can't understand why you would do that, but let's just say your brother-in-law or sister or whatever selling annuities, you just have to buy it. Anyway, so let's just say you have to buy from them. And they give you this great pitch. And this story sounds too good to be true. And oh, by the way, if it sounds too good to be true, it is every single time without exception. What I would tell you to do is write down that sales pitch exactly how you hear it, exactly how you understand it, exactly how they presented it to you. Write it down in detail. And then sign and date it at the bottom and flip it over to them and say, hey, by the way, that sounded really good, but can you sign and date it too? Because if it's not what you say it is, I'm going to take you out. Not take you out like literally like mafia take you out. Yeah, I'm going to take you to court and get my money back because you lied to me. That's the only protection you truly have is what I call statement of understanding from the client's standpoint. In other words, this is the sales pitch I heard. I'm going to write it down and I'm going to have them sign off on it. Typically, when you do that, the pen weighs 1,000 pounds. They're not going to sign it or they'll go, oh, no, that's not what I was talking about. But the stories that are out there now are crazy. And let's go through some. There's numerous indexed annuity type products. We're not going to get into details of them. Yes, I sell them. I have no problem with them, but they're CD products like indexed annuities, fixed index annuities were designed in 1995 to compete with normal CD returns. And spoiler alert, that's what they do. But that's not the stories you're going to hear. The stories you're going to hear is market upside with no downside, market participation with no market loss. Well, if that's the case, then I'm calling Chairman Powell at the time of this taping. He's head of the Fed. And I'm saying, hey, brother man, got it fixed. You just buy index annuities for the country and everything's going to be perfect. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. If you believe it's true, then you're the rube at the table and the sucker at the table. Don't believe the story. If they're saying something, say, listen, what if it gets zero? And they, well, it never has gotten zero because historically, if you look at these returns that I'm showing, if you'd owned it 10 years ago, that's a story. That's garbage. Never base your decision on a back-tested number. And what drives me crazy right now in the index annuity world are indexes. They're being created out of thin air based on an algorithm that's looking for an actual return. So they create this XYZ index, and then they go, if you'd owned this XYZ index 10 years ago, this would have been your return. Well, how's that possible, Chester the agent? Because it's only been around for 2 months. How could have I earned it 10 years ago? And oh, by the way, you might want to check that specimen policy and say, can they change those allocations internally? There's some games being played here. Now, I understand why the annuity carriers are doing that. They can get better option pricing on an annuity made up out of thin air as opposed to the S&P 500. But understand that all of these index annuities are designed to create a CD type return 2 to 4%. Anyone that tells you otherwise, it's like George Costanza said on Seinfeld. Seinfeld. If you believe it's the truth, then it's not a lie. That's what a lot of these agents have convinced themselves. It's like walking past a mirror and you're 50 pounds overweight and you glance and you go, you know what? I look pretty good. No, you don't. You're 50 pounds overweight. It's the same premise. So the stories that they're going to tell, just don't believe them. Another story that anyone who says this, get up and walk out. If they say to you, well, my mom owns this, or my uncle owns this, or I own this, and here's my statement, I want you to look at it. That's a story. That's crap. Do not allow them to do that, because you don't know if it's true or not. You don't know if they've doctored that PDF or that hard copy. You have no idea. What are you going to ask? Hey, what are the contractual guarantees? They need to ask you two questions. What do you want the money to contractually do? And when do you want those contractual guarantees to start? From those two answers, we can determine whether you even need an annuity, or if you do need an annuity, which type will provide the highest contractual guarantees. There are no stories with contractual guarantees. There are no stories when you run quotes like you can run on our site at theannuityman.com, and you're running contractually guaranteed quotes. That's the reason that we allow you to do that on your terms. You can pull up MIGA fixed rate guarantees, live feed on my site for your specific state. There's no stories to that. That's a contractual guaranteed yield. With an immediate annuity, a deferred income annuity, a qualified longevity annuity contract, or an income rider attached to an indexed annuity, there's no stories to that. That's a contractual guarantee, period. That's what it will do. Everything on our site, and in my opinion, everything in the annuity industry should be about what the policy will do, not what the policy might do. But the vast majority of policies being sold out there, which are index annuities, variable annuities, buffer annuities, whatever, those are all story-driven sales. They're not contractual-driven sales. They're story-driven sales. Well, Mr. Jones, if you'd owned it here, you'd made 7% every year and you had principal protection. Mr. Jones, you get the upfront bonus. That's another story that's crazy. Hey, if you sign here, you're going to get an upfront bonus. That's your money to keep for free. It's just fantastic. You get a 20% bonus or 30% bonus or 35% bonus, whatever it is. You can't be that stupid. Come on. You're listening to Stan the Annuity Man. If someone's presented a bonus, you probably found me because you went, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. Bonuses are stories. To me, they're contractual guarantees. So let me give you an example. If you said, Stan, I need income to start, lifetime income to start later. Remember the two questions? What do you want the money to contractually do? Lifetime income. When do you want it to start? Down the road. Then that can be an income rider, also can be a deferred income annuity. But let's just say we're focusing on the income rider. We're only going to look at the contractual guaranteed income rider, and we are going to shop every single company out there with an income rider to find the highest contractual guarantee for your specific situation. And that includes companies that have bonuses. That's part of the offering of the income rider. And spoiler alert, most of the time, the companies that are offering these huge, chunky upfront bonuses do not provide the highest contractual guarantee. It's a story. There's 100 pennies in the dollar. So if someone's offering you an upfront bonus, they're taking something away in the policy. Typically, it's on the payout on the back end, which is the most important part. So if you're sitting at the Bad Chicken Dinner seminar and they say, we're going to give you a 20% upfront bonus, so your $200,000 is now worth, you get $40,000 bonus. That's not free money, player. You know that. You got to be smarter than that. You've got to filter out these sociopaths out there that say these things cavalierly, hoping that some part of your brain believes it's true and you're going to trust them. Don't trust anybody, including me, and trust the contract, which leads me to my next point. With any policy that you're trying to make a decision on, first of all, there's never an urgency to buy an annuity, ever, 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 ever. The urgency is for you to fully understand it. And if that takes you reading the specimen policy, then ask us for the specimen policy and we'll send it to you and you can read it. Because why? Once again, stories sell, but you're going to buy contractual guarantees. I always say, don't buy the dream because you're going to own the contractual reality. Don't buy the story because you're buying a contract. So buy the contract. So be very careful out there in the hinterlands of unregulated internet promotions, unregulated bad chicken dinner and expensive steak dinner seminars, unregulated people coming to your workplace as you retire and talking about one product. I mean, I just did a rant on that recently. Just that drives me crazy. First of all, remember this. Annuities, there's not one product that's better than the other. There's the two questions that you have to answer, period. What do you want the money to contractually do? When do you want those contractual guarantees to start? From that, we shop all carriers for the highest contractual guarantee for your specific situation. And then we talk about who that company is, their ratings, the claims payability, etc. But annuities are commodity products. There are no stories on commodity products. There's only contractual guarantees. And with that, I think I covered that pretty well. Don't you agree? Hey, see you next time.